All right, there it is. Le credits. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I could have probably pushed this through yesterday, but whatever. All right, so I wrote down some thoughts for this game, and my overall thoughts of the game, such as like, did I like it? Sort of. Essentially, I have written here that I think as a complete package, the game is actually kind of weak. Um, and it's kind of because, and I'll touch on this a lot, but I don't feel like the puzzles add anything to the story. Um, they're just kind of like random puzzles for the sake of puzzles. And to be honest, I was actually kind of thinking, or I was under the impression that like these puzzles would be part of the larger story, and so they would be weaved in. And once you solve a puzzle, you now have an idea of where to go next based off of the puzzle you solved. So that was kind of disappointing, and it kind of, in a way, destroyed, we'll say, the narrative sense of the game. Maybe not destroyed, but it hurt it, I guess. So in a sense, like I like that it's a puzzle game, but it's a puzzle game and it's a mystery, which is not a very good mystery. And at the moment, I don't have any interest or hype to play the second one. This was something that I was thinking last night, and a little bit earlier that day as well. I don't know if I want to go through I'm assuming the second Professor Layton game is basically going to be this, just with a different story. And I don't know if that is necessarily the best use of my time, which is kind of a crazy thing to say. But if the story is, we're not going to say simplistic, but we're going to say, if the mystery of the story is not very complicated, or you don't need very many clues for it, then the story is not really the driving force of the game. It is the other aspect, which is the puzzles. And if the puzzles are just puzzles, I don't need to play a game for that. So I really want them to work in tandem. That's the ultimate goal that I want out of Professor Layton game. And this first one did not give that to me. And so that's why I'm, I guess, concerned / not really interested in what the second game has to offer, because I would assume it is the same style. Sun came out outside. What stood out the most? The puzzles, basically, for both good and bad reasons. Some felt like no matter how you looked at it, it made no sense, and others were satisfying to solve. There were several. No, actually, there was only a few, which could be construed as several, that the puzzle was solved, and I'm looking at it and I'm saying this makes no sense. Specifically, the age one, I still don't get that one. There was a couple others where I'm just like, this literally makes no sense. Or I can't comprehend it. Maybe it does make sense, and I'm just not capable of that higher level of comprehension. The story, was it satisfying? I'm actually going to say no. Ooh. Well, I'm probably going to say no, but there's room for a maybe here, because the story in of itself is basically, we come here to solve the mystery of the golden apple. And during all that, we just get sidetracked the entire time. And also during that whole time, we know that the tower is the biggest mystery of this place. And so for some reason, that's not the biggest clue that we're going off of. And so it just seems kind of weird that it takes us so long, this freaking bird, man. It just seems so weird that it takes so long to investigate the tower when that just seems to be the obvious place that it would be. And there's a couple moments where we're not sidetracked by like the murder investigation and the cat and things like that, where we could actually do that. So, uh, that in of itself, that's why I guess I kind of say it wasn't really that satisfying because of just how straightforward it should have been looked at, but wasn't, I guess. Did it feel complete? It does feel complete, actually. We came here to solve the mystery of the golden apple. We solved the mystery of the golden apple, and we solved all the other mysteries along the way, too. So, that was nice. How was the pacing? This one's kind of a weird one because, uh, by all respects, you should probably consider the pacing kind of terrible, especially if you run into those puzzle gates or the like where you have to complete a certain number of puzzles before you can move on. So there's that, but I didn't run into that, and so I guess at least for my playthrough, the pacing was fine. I guess, even though I don't want to say it's fine, but I guess it's fine. Let me see. What did I like about the story? Gameplay and mechanics. I have no idea if I don't think anything about the story stands out enough to where I could just say like, "Oh, this this is something that I liked about it," as opposed to just like everything else being I don't know. I don't know. Let me see. The puzzles are definitely the meat of the game, and thus they all have their strengths and weaknesses. Um, this is basically a puzzle game. Um, in the sense of all you're doing is solving puzzles and I guess moving around. So it makes a lot of sense that all the mechanics are just built around that central thing. It's just not everything is for some reason. You can not only redo puzzles, but if you miss any, you can still do them. I was very happy to actually see this because missing out on puzzles is a shame. We don't want that. We'll get to this in a hot minute. There's no combat in this game. Strange, I know, right? There's not really any dungeons. Um, Not any cardinal sins that I can think of. Um, the music, the music is pretty solid. There's some tracks. I like the opening theme. There's another track in there that I was grooving to. It's pretty solid, decent to solid. The voice acting is decent for what little there was. Uh, yeah. Let me see. For the graphics, the character art isn't necessarily my style, but I do think that the environments are pretty good. Um, it's a DS game, so I can't really say like, oh man, I wish they were upscaled or anything like that. But um, yeah, that's pretty much that. For replay value, let's see if there's replay value. Though you've reached the story's end, Professor Layton and the Curious Village is far from over. How many puzzles did you solve over the course of your adventure? Precisely 120 puzzles are hidden throughout the town, so why not try to complete every puzzle? Also, be sure to check the bonus section, fulfill certain conditions to unlock more bonus content. Your game will save now. When you continue, resume play at the top of the tower. Okay, so looks looks like actually it doesn't look like there's any replay value in this game. Uh, Based off of that. Um, On to things that I disliked. The puzzles aren't integrated into the story. I've kind of mentioned this already, or I have mentioned this already. I think a better game would have come out of this if it was. And like, it doesn't have to be every puzzle, but it would be nice if we go instead of like asking people for clues, it's like we have to solve a mystery, and so we need to go find the clues, and those clues are hidden in puzzles. I don't, you get what I'm saying, randomly clicking around on every screen for hint coins and puzzles is undesirable. Hint coins should be challenge awards, or should be a challenge reward. In fact, no challenges in the game. Trying to beat puzzles within like certain criteria aren't objectives in this game, and I think that's a missed opportunity. It is the first installment, so there's plenty of room to improve upon that, but I think it would be really, really cool if there was not even all puzzles, just some puzzles where you could do stuff like that. It's a visual novel. I don't really like visual novels, and I think that kind of played a role. And in fact, I didn't even realize this while I was playing it. I don't know why this didn't why didn't this occur to me before? But I was looking at the dashboard or whatever, and I was like, oh, I'm changing the stream title, all this stuff. This was yesterday. And I hit updated, and I look at the tags and it says visual novel, and I was just like, this is a visual novel? This is a visual novel. I hate visual novels. So that probably plays a little bit of role into whether or not I can't necessarily decide if I like the game as much as I should or not. But I don't know. I don't like visual novels. I don't even play visual novels, and so this is technically the first visual novel that I played. First visual novel I played on stream. Let's see. Was the solving of the mystery really based on true detective work or just random luck? After seeing the ending, I don't know. Don't you think it's kind of weird that we were invited by someone inside the town to solve this mystery, and everybody in the town are robots except for 2 people? So, in a sense, we were invited to the town by robots, which doesn't make any sense because they shouldn't know anything about the outside world, right? They just know about Curious Village puzzles. So, where does that all stem from? I feel like once we got there, it wasn't really detective work. It was just stumbling on the correct answers the entire time. And like, if certain things didn't occur, we would never have solved the mystery of anything. And, in all respects, that is kind of what detective work is, I guess. It does require some luck. But I guess in this case, it just felt like all the luck was stacking on top of each other. So, I don't know. The majority of the puzzles were what I am weak at: math puzzles and riddles. Very little variety outside of that. Very little interactive puzzles, which were generally what I succeed at. Not many video game puzzles. So this is one of those things where it's obvious here. Like, well, yeah, you know, of course you're not really going to like the puzzles that you're not very good at. But it's not necessarily that. It's the lack of variety. You could probably say 70, 80, 90% of the puzzles in this game are like word riddles. There are very little puzzles where like you have to move the ball to the other side, like ball to the hole or whatever, or something like that. There's very little puzzles like that, and those are the puzzles that I particularly like, and I feel like those are the puzzles that actually feel like puzzles. I'm not necessarily in the camp of riddles or puzzles. I like to step over here and say that, but for the most part, I'm okay with a riddle or two, but I prefer, you know, moving blocks around, moving the liquid, you know, the chessboard puzzles. Those were all really good interactive puzzles. But when we have thing where it's like, look at the 4 diagrams and tell me which one of these doesn't create a knot. It's like, you know, what am I supposed to do with that? Or something along the lines of, who didn't eat the fish? And you give me 4 people's statements. It's just like, ugh. And then the vast majority of them are all trick questions too. And so, you know, nothing is ever simple in this game. And last but not least, for my thoughts is the developer is watching. For my own personal taste, I think a mystery story in this universe would be so much more impactful with the puzzles being a part of the story. Solving a puzzle gives a clue that reveals the larger picture. Harder to design, but more satisfying as a game. And I think that might actually just be the crux of where my issues lie with this game, and where my likes, I guess, with this game are. I like a game that has a bunch of puzzles in it. I think that's a fantastic game. But this game is not just you have a puzzle and then you move on to the next puzzle. It is a game where they have weaved in a story around all the puzzles. And it's just more of a satisfying experience as a video game to have both aspects of story and puzzles be like one, basically, so that the story is a puzzle and you need to solve puzzles to get more clues to solve the mystery of the story. That's kind of where I'm going with that. And it's more, it lends more to the narrative side, which you know, I generally like more narrative based games. So I guess I don't like to see this game basically split into two things, specifically this one. And who knows, maybe you improved upon this first one with the second one. The second one is the bomb diggity, and you just got like all these great puzzles in there that aren't a bunch of riddles, and it's totally weaved into the story and everything's good. Hopefully that's the case. But it might be a while before I try it out, or even if I play it. I don't know. I don't even know how I'm gonna cut up this series. I was gonna do it puzzle by puzzle, but now I'm thinking like that doesn't sound very good. So maybe I should do it differently. I don't know. But anyways, that is Professor Layton and the Curious Village conquered. What's the next game I'm gonna play? I have no idea. For the most part, I feel like I've turned my brain to mush, and I've made myself look mighty stupid too many times in this. So it could be network transmission. I have another 4-day weekend coming up, so I need to decide if I want to use that for streaming time or if I just want to chill. So I don't know, but Anyways, I'll figure that out. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. I will be back tomorrow at 6 o'clock p.m. Pacific. Probably play some Smash Bros. Or something like that. But who knows? Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Peace.